get my 6. So what's up with the tank top, Crazy Lake? You might be asking me through your screen. Is this a new look? You might be pondering. No, this is not a new look. I just wanted to wear this shirt today to give thanks where thanks is due. Got a couple of these as gifts from Linda Stadel, it looks like, down in Arkansas. She wrote me a very nice note, a couple nice notes. She says she's just an old woman that likes people who are real. She's potentially 80 years old. She knows that I'm too sexy for YouTube and I'm not allowed to make shirtless videos anymore without getting limited monetization. So she sent me some tank tops. And man, these tank tops are very appreciated, especially on days like today. It is 90 degrees. I'm sitting in the woods, trying to stay out of the sun, but it's still getting me a little bit, and I'm sweating profusely from just sitting here. That's how hot and humid it is. So thanks for the tank tops. And yeah, I know I need a haircut. I actually wasn't going to make another video till I got a haircut, but this video a haircut kind of has to do with this video. You're like, come on, man. None of your videos make sense. Your video is titled something about going to a Black Lives Matter rally and being turned away, and I want to know why. Well, it all ends to a haircut. It adds up to a haircut. Best haircut I've ever had in my life. Yeah. And no, I didn't meet some barber at the Black Lives Matter rally that I was kind of turned away from. But I did end up meeting him about a year later because of the Black Lives rally I attempted to attend and was turned away from because I was turned away. True story. So here we go. As you know, if you follow the channel, you know my family and I live right outside of Charlottesville, Virginia. Love it. It's a wonderful town, wonderful people. There's always so much to do. You've got the University of Virginia, so we love to go to all the sporting events, the football games. We go to baseball games, occasionally a basketball game. Those are hard to get into because we're like so awesome. It's like tickets they're hard to come by, but we get into some of them. And then of course, they're always having some sort of protest somewhere in Charlottesville, down there on the university, always protesting something. So I've got a red ant crawling on my foot right here. So it would have been more than a year or so ago now. It was right after George Floyd was murdered. There were protests going on everywhere, all around the country, lots of rallies. And I happened to be downtown that day. My wife and I love to go into town. We love to walk, have, lunch, get lunch while we're out. So pardon me for continuing to wipe off the sweat. Again, thanks for the tank top. But it was a Black Lives Matter rally. It was on the corner, the place they call the corner, down below it, actually in front of one of the large churches there, close to campus. And people were yelling, they were screaming, big crowd, tons of people. And it was not violent. They were loud, but I didn't see any violence when I was there. And unless you were living under a rock, you knew about the situation, about George Floyd being murdered, what was going on with that. And I thought, I want to know what I can do as one person, as one American, post-middle-aged American who happens to be a white male. What can I do to help this cause? I went over to where the people had their signs and where they were screaming, where they were yelling, and I approached a woman. To describe her, she was probably mid to late 50s. She was white, and she had up a sign that said, Black Lives Matter. She was screaming very loud. And so I approached her and I said, ma'am, I like your sign and I absolutely agree with your sign. And I want to know, what can I do as one person? What can I do to help this cause? And she says, well, you can get up here and scream at the top of your lungs with the rest of us unless you're afraid of losing your voice. And then she keeps screaming, holding her sign, screaming and screaming. I said, well, ma'am, I can appreciate that. And I understand that's how a lot of folks express themselves. And I have no problem with that. But I just feel like there's got to be more that I can do than just be really loud and scream and hold up a sign and make sure everybody sees me screaming and being really loud holding up this sign. That's all wonderful, but there's got to be something more specific I can do, because I do believe Black Lives Matter. Can you help me? Well, she didn't like this, and I don't like that ant. It might be a different ant, but she said, "Are you up to something, Buster?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm not up to anything. I just want to know, I'm willing to do what I can do. I just don't necessarily understand what it is that I can do, because I do believe that Black Lives Matter. This is terrible what's happened and what continues to happen, unfortunately, with these men and women of color being murdered." And she says, "Do you think my life matters?" And I said, "Well, of course I do, ma'am. Your life matters, my life matters, everybody's life matters. But I want to stay on topic here. Black Lives Matter. What can I do as an individual to help this cause?" Well, then it was like we saw a scene from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You remember that movie? It's old. I think it was back in the 50s or the 60s. But basically, once your body has been taken by one of the body snatchers from outer space, you still look normal, okay? And so, but when you see someone the next day who hasn't been snatched yet, remember they go, "Rah!" They point the finger and they just start screaming all this gibberish. And so then all the other body snatchers knew to come for the one that hadn't been snatched yet. Well, that's what the response I got from this woman was like. She just starts screaming at me, calling me all kinds of things I'm not, and pretty much just, I left. I wasn't going to join whatever she was doing there after she was calling me some of these things. I shook my head a little confused about it, and I since found out what it was that I'd said that had triggered her, and I understand why I'm not supposed to say that in that environment. But I was sincere, I was genuine, I was being completely authentic, but I didn't get the answer that I was looking for. Because I just don't know how me standing with a sign, screaming at the top of my lungs, is going to significantly increase the quality of anybody's life. How is it going to make their lives better? And I had this strange thought. I thought, oh my gosh, could this woman could she just want to be seen and be heard so no one thinks she might be all these terrible things she called me that I'm not? And I thought there might be something to this. So I leave. I'm walking around to where I park my car. I park my car in a parking garage down there. I like to park on top because then I get a view of the whole town from that angle. It's a beautiful town. And I go past a barber shop. Okay, there's a barbershop down there on the corner. It's where I get my hair cut now, and I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, and I don't want to, but you know how my stories go. They weave all over the place before I finally tie them together there at the end. But there's a place down there, I believe it's called House of Cuts. I look over, and I see these 3 or 4 guys, the barbers that work there, sitting in their chairs. This was summer. I'm sure the 95% of their customers or their clients are college students. Well, college was out for the summer. So here's these guys sitting in their chairs. They're at work. They're at work, but they have no work to do because they have no customers. And I take notice that 3 of them are black, 2 or 3 of them are black, and there was one man who is of Latino descent. His name's Fernando. I've since found out he owns the place. Okay, so there was him, Fernando, a couple black guys that worked there. And I looked back where the rally was around the corner, and I thought, my goodness, if 1 out of 10 of these protesters over here who are proclaiming at the top of their lungs, Black Lives Matter, walked in this shop and gave these guys their business, they would be increasing the quality of these gentlemen's lives because they would be putting money in their pockets. Well, I didn't need a haircut, and I thought, well, my wife always cuts my hair anyway because she's always cut my hair for the last 12 years that we've been together, and we've saved a ton of money because of it, and she cuts our son's hair. So I thought, well, that's a good idea, but that's not really fitting for me. Well, let's fast forward about a year, because I never forgot that thought. So about another year goes by, and my wife and my son are in the Philippines visiting family over there for the first time in 5 years. So she wasn't here to cut my hair. So I wasn't in that part of town. I was in another part of town where there's some of these cookie cutter, hair cuttery type places. There were 2. Okay, from one parking spot, there were 2. And there was a spot where there was 4 or 5 women working. These women happened to be white. And then the other cuttery place was across the way, still within sight, and there was 3 or 4 women working in there, and they were black. I remembered the rally. I remembered wanting to know what I could do specifically to increase the quality of the life of a black person, because I do believe Black Lives Matter. And I do believe there's something more to it than just holding up a sign and screaming. Now, I'm not giving you folks down the road that do that. That's how some folks feel they can express themselves. As someone who fully understands, I have a family, I have bills to pay. Listen, I'm a veteran. When I see those stickers that say support the troops, support the vets, I get a little, I think, you supported the guy that made that bumper sticker. You put $2 in somebody's pocket. That sticker's not really helping me pay my bills. You know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, I decided I'm going to go over here where these black ladies are cutting hair, and I'm going to get my hair cut in here today. But then I had this thought. I thought, oh my gosh, if I do that, isn't that racist? Because by this time, you've got this critical race theory thing, which I will tell you, I do not understand. I've looked into it. I don't understand it. And I think there's a lot of people who really don't understand what it is either, proclaiming that it is something it's not. Because I watched some videos on YouTube on this platform that said basically that if you try to do something like what I was saying, I want to go give my business to these individuals in this business because they're black, and I do believe their lives matter, and this is a way in which I feel I can contribute to some degree. Well, these people on these videos are saying that I would have that thought because of white guilt. And no, listen, I went into that shop that day not because of anything that has anything to do with my whiteness. It's not because I feel guilty, none of that. It's because I do believe Black Lives Matter, and I wanted to go give my money that day for that service I was receiving to an individual, a person. In this case, it was a woman who's black, okay? So I did that. And I thought, if she does a good job and if I like her, I'll come back. This is one small way I feel I can contribute to a movement I do believe in, a movement that since George Floyd's death, I'm happy to see has stayed on point. Listen to this, and let me preface my words with this. I can only control what I say. I cannot control how you take what I say. I have seen in the past when the Black Lives Matter movement seems to have been hijacked by post-middle-aged white women who go after the predominantly white male dominant establishment. And it's almost as if there's this attitude of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But what happens when that has happened in the past is the focus has been taken off of the fact and the theme of the movement that Black Lives Matter. I never personally understood it to be a movement that was anti-predominantly white male predominant domination. There's a lot of words there, but you know what I'm saying. But this time, after George Floyd, the movement has stayed on point. Okay, they didn't give a free pass to the Asian American police officer who stood by and did nothing while George Floyd was being murdered by his coworker. They called him out on it, okay? Central Park Karen, okay, who was a registered Democrat, progressive liberal, belonged to a union, all these things, but was walking her dog in a park one day and had her dog off the leash, and when a black man asked her if she could please leash her dog because they were bird spotting and the dog was running the birds off, and she you tell me to put my dog on a leash again and I will call the police and claim that a black man is trying to assault me? Seriously, guys, we're in the days of sheer lunacy. We just got another shipment of these in, the lunatic, and this is the stuff this book is based on. But I'm getting to it because this is a story about a haircut, not my book. Even though they're back in stock now. You can get them from Etsy, links in the description box below. Buy them here, you get the autograph. Get them on Amazon without the autograph. But the girl didn't do a very good job cutting my hair. She seemed bored out of her mind. She seemed like there was a million other places she wanted to be. It wasn't that great of an experience. Now, this isn't because she's black. It's because she was bored out of her mind. And you could tell there's a million different places she wanted to be. It's just, You know, I know somebody out this way that works as a teacher. She's counting down her days to retire. She's got a couple years to go. People who are just putting in time, they're just marking time, as we'd say in the Army, where you're standing in a place kind of marching. If you think other people can't tell you don't want to be there, you're wrong. It just seeps through the pores of your skin. Everybody can tell you're burnt out. You don't want to be there. You'd rather be a million other places. You're not fooling anybody. So she reminded me of this other woman. So I didn't go back. Well, another month goes by because I get my hair cut once a month, like clockwork. My family still wasn't back. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go down to House of Cuts down there on the corner. I'm just going to walk in, see if they'll take me as a walk-in, see how this goes here. I was intentionally going there to give my business to those gentlemen because they were people of color, because they were black, and then Fernando, of course, is Hispanic. A black man named Corey was able to serve me, do my hair. He had time in between appointments. I went in there to give Corey my business because he was black, and I do believe his life matters. And I believe that the $40 or $50, it's a little pricey at Charlottesville, that I hand him after he provides me with an excellent service is going to benefit his life much more than if I'm standing across the street from his shop holding a sign saying his life matters, screaming at the top of my lungs that his life matters, but which at the end of the day doesn't put any money in his pocket. He has a family, because I've gotten to know him just a little bit, just through small talk. He's got a wife, okay? He's a veteran. He served in the United States Army, and his wife continues to serve in the United States Army. So they're both heroes, okay? I went to give him my business initially because he was black, not because I have white guilt, but because his life matters. It had nothing to do with my whiteness, you people making these misinformation videos on the internet. It had to do with his blackness and my understanding that money talks and trash walks. Okay? He can buy groceries with the money he earns working. But I continue to go back because, number one, he does a heck of a good job. He's made my hair look better than it's looked since I joined the Army back in 2007 and went in and had it all cut off ever since. Now, my wife, I'm not trying to take credit away from her. She's done a great job too. She offered a couple days ago, she said, you need a haircut again. I think I'm going to cut your hair. And I said, no, you're not. No one's touching my hair but Corey anymore going forward. He's doing a great job. He's going to keep doing it. So I've got an appointment for later in the week to go in there and do it. But folks, here's my message. Screaming at the top of your lungs and accusing people you don't know of being things they're not, so no one will look at you and think you are, isn't nearly as effective as giving these people that you believe matter your business. Being kind, of course. But do you know somebody that owns an auto repair shop that's black in your community that maybe you can take your business to prove their lives matter? To prove you're willing to help increase the quality of their life by giving them your business, by allowing them to earn your money rather than just holding up a sign and screaming at the top of your lungs? Hey, and that's okay, especially if you want to do both. But there's probably a lot of people watching this who hold up signs and scream and yell who might be offended by what I've said. Don't be offended. Do not be offended. I challenge you to go out and give your business to small business owners, salespeople, employees of companies owned by black people. You can't feed your kids with a sign, but you sure can with income, with revenue. So, and again, this is kind of the general thesis behind this book, where we show the lunacy. Now listen, this book is full of bad words. It's full of adult themes, adult situations. There is a lot of stereotyping in this book, but you've got to get to the end. And when you do, it all makes perfect sense and your mind will be blown and you will see the sheer lunacy going on in our society right now, where there's too many people who consider themselves to be woke, but who are still very much fast asleep because they are doing nothing to increase life quality or unite. They're continuing to attempt to divide. We all need everybody. We all need each other. See you for more next time.